Hello everyone, before I start I want to say one important thing towards people who sometimes struggle to remember how to breathe properly. This is not a hate video about Bloodborne. This video is just my thoughts about plus minus good game. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. Okay, so in case you are confused about the title of my video, let me ask you one very important question. Why do you like Bloodborne? Or to be more specific, why you think that Bloodborne is the best game among all Soulsborne games, or in which aspect is Bloodborne better than other Souls games? Not sure about you, but no matter how many times I ask myself this question, I just don't know the answer to that. I say this a few times, but the best thing in Bloodborne for me is German's boss fight. That's it. So let's talk about some Bloodborne's aspects and talk about them a bit in detail. I just now saw a video named Why Bloodborne is a Masterpiece, and I am literally dying from cringe both from author and comments under his video. Dear god, it's just so pathetic. It's just sad. Let's start with bosses. Many people say Bloodborne bosses are top tier, and no, they are kinda meh. I am sorry Bloodborne fans, but it's true. Bosses in this game are very pathetic and very bad. Yes, there are without a doubt some amazing bosses such as Maria and German, and a few good bosses such as Orphan, Cleric Beast, Amelia and Logarius. And maybe, just maybe, if you desperately want to add someone else, Father Gascoigne. Other bosses both difficulty and quality wise are so bad it's not even funny. Let's talk about a few of them quickly. Witches. Is there even a single person who enjoyed this boss or had the smallest problem with this boss? Shadows. Your average Elden Ring bosses, aka multiple basic mobs with HP bar is a boss. Same thing can be said about Celestials. Rom. You either have a good weapon with high DPS and kill Rom as fast as possible, or Rom will either one-shot you with her magic, or her small spiders will just gangbang you. Bloodsucker. Either you have antidote and fire resin, or you are fucked. I would honestly remove or at least nerf his poison damage, but also I would completely remove bloody cocktails which you can throw on a wall and just cheese his entire boss fight. And also, let's be honest, this cocktail's entire purpose in this game is to use this on this boss. That's it. Living failures are living dildos, and both their names fit their boss fight perfectly. Both Paul and Van Reborn are just hit their legs over and over and stunlock them to death without them being able to do anything about that. And if they survive for more than 50 seconds, it's a huge miracle. If you won't stay AFK and push Moon Presence and Mergo, you can just turn off their brain and they will just stay still while you just mash R1 button on them. Ebrietas can go fuck herself with her 3 insta-give moves. First one is her laser beam, second one is her head slam, and the third one is her charge hit. Each of these moves can just literally one-shot you. Amygdala is extremely one-sided hardcore sex with camera. Ludwig is a 100% joke boss. If you have cleaver and busy pellets, holy fuck, what you can do to this poor horse. Oh my god, it's not even funny. Lawrence can go fuck himself. Yeah, he's hard, but dear god, he's such a shitty boss. Oh my god. Mikolash.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
So yeah, realistically saying, after Elden Ring, this game has the biggest amount of uninteresting or just super easy and pathetic bosses. And I find it really funny that people non-stop scream about Dark Souls 2 bosses being a joke, which is undeniable, but at the same time they completely ignore these punching bag bosses against whom I ironically say two things over and over. Oh shit, he died, or wait, is that it? Is this a joke? How is it over so fast? Am I over level? Or do I have OP runes? Well, sorry if I have OP runes, but in order to get my runes, I had to whoop my own ass in Chalice in order to get them. Now about gameplay. Many people say Bloodborne's combat speed is very high and it forces you to play aggressive, otherwise you are fucked. And unlike Dark Souls games, this game rewards your aggression. Well, yes, but not really. Yes, compared to Demon Souls and Dark Souls, Bloodborne is a bit faster game. I won't deny a lot, but I never understood, quote, unlike Dark Souls games, which is more about patient, in a Bloodborne you can and should be aggressive. And no? All those people who seriously say stuff like that, have you tried to play any Dark Souls game as a thief or as a dude with a fast weapon in light armor? If in Bloodborne you take Ludwig or Stone Hammer, you will also have to play passive because you have big and slow weapon, which just physically won't allow you to play aggressive. And if in Dark Souls game, you will take for example rapier, dagger or straight sword, you can, surprise surprise, play aggressive because you have a fast weapon which allows you to play aggressively. So I just don't understand why so many Bloodborne players don't stop scream about this mystic aggressive playstyle. In both of these games you can play either aggressive or passive. The only difference is that Bloodborne's combat system is a bit faster than in Dark Souls games. That's it. Now weapons. First of all, yes, I am fully aware about the fact every single weapon has completely different moveset from other weapon. And also yes, I am fully aware that because of weapon transformation mechanic, you realistically saying playable to completely different weapon, which is a very cool thing and it's undeniable. But now let's talk about the Bloodborne's weapons themselves. Believe it or no, but I tested most Bloodborne weapons and to be honest, most of them are just not worthy to use. I already explained why I think like that in this video. If you want you can check it. Despite the fact that I don't like Bloodborne weapons simply because compared to Saw Cleaver and Pizza Cutter, every single weapon just suck huge balls, I can understand why so many people are jerking themselves when they think about Bloodborne weapons. But just because a shitty stone hammer can transform into more shitty fast sword, that won't make this game a masterpiece. Yes, this mechanic is good and interesting, but it's not something mind-blowing. Now about locations. I know that many people like locations in Bloodborne because, you know, gothic style, ooh, and I know that it's all subjective, but I am not a fan of Bloodborne weapons visually. I don't know, maybe it's because I am not mashing my deer on gothic theme, but most locations visually are pretty much the same, let's be honest. The only locations that look somewhat different and are memorable are Fishing Hamlet, Kenheart, Forest, this location in DLC, and that's pretty much it. Other locations are just black screen church simulator, or are just not as memorable as you wish. Let's take for example Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. Nearly every single location is completely different from each other. They don't repeat the same visual or color gamma, and because of that, almost all locations are extremely memorable. For example, Dark Souls 1, location full of lava, sunken city with spooky ghost, catacomb, swamp area, blight town, a location with traps, and many, many more. While in Bloodborne, we all game have plus minus the same locations visually. Dark Souls 3 has the same problem, and many people call this game a grey castle ruin simulation, which is true, but for some reason these same people just close their eyes on Bloodborne and Sekiro, which has the identical problem. Bloodborne locations visually are very similar to each other, and it's just undeniable. Now atmosphere. Many people say that this game has top tier cosmic atmosphere because compared to Dark Souls games, Bloodborne is a horror in which everything is fucked. And I will say one thing, and I want you all to take it seriously. For Bloodborne's universe, the fate of Yharnam is the most fucked up thing that happened in this universe. But for Dark Souls universe, the fate of Yharnam is a regular Monday. Many people say something like, look at this, everything is fucked, mutations, brutal kills, depression, suffering, betrayal, and other when they talk about why Bloodborne is the most fucked up game among all Souls games. And all those people who say a lot, I want you all to wave your hands at New London Ruins, Lucatiel, and Pontiff. Their story is no less fucked up and brutal than any story from Bloodborne. Also, let's just accept two facts. First, Dark Souls 1 is much more atmospheric game than Bloodborne. And secondly, Bloodborne's world is not even close to be as horrifying as any Dark Souls game. Why? Simply because in Bloodborne, you can just run away from Yarnam and you are good to go. You will achieve a happy ending. While in any Dark Souls game, if you are born, no matter who you are and no matter how powerful you are, in the end you will get a very, very sudden brutal ending no matter where you go. Yes, in Bloodborne there are a few locations with top tier atmosphere such as Fishing Hamlet, Old Yarnam and Research Hall. The way these poor people are screaming for help, while you know that the only way to save them is to kill them and end their suffering, is extremely memorable. But you think that Dark Souls game have less creepy and fucked up moments? Or you think that any Dark Souls location are less atmospheric? Well, besides Dark Souls 3, okay. I will give you one quick example from each game. In Dark Souls 1, the story and lore of Sith, Pinwheel, Gwyn and Four Kings is no less creepy than the story of German. In Dark Souls 2, the lore and story of Vendrick and Lucatiel is no less horrifying as Lady Maria's story. And in Dark Souls 3, the lore of Pontiff, Aldrich, Twin Princess and Ludoled is no less terrifying than the story of Orphan or Lawrence. Now about the lore and story of this game itself. I won't talk about the lore and story of this game simply because it's 100% subjective. Some people like it and some don't like it. Personally, I like the lore and story of Famous Loser and Four Great Morons who have to save the world by sacrificing themselves more than hentai lore with aliens. Also, I won't talk about the bosses and basic mobs design because once again it's very subjective. Many people like a big dog and random ass disgusting alien simulation, and many including myself like medieval fantasy and cool looking knight simulation. Also, am I the only one who doesn't really like clothes in Bloodborne style wise? Because they play kinda the same. Just another cool looking hunter's drip, another homeless drip, and some random church cloth. That's it. And also, besides the main armor, main cloth, okay, others are not really that memorable compared to Dark Souls armor. Am I the only one who thinks like that? Okay, let's have a small conclusion. I will say one thing and many people won't agree with it, but I will say it anyway. Bloodborne has no best feature. I want to ask you once again one very simple yet very important question. Can you name me a feature or a thing that Bloodborne does better than any other Souls game? For example, Demon's Souls has the best enemy placement logic. Dark Souls 1 has top tier locations, atmosphere, story and lore. Dark Souls 2 gives you a huge weapon creativity and freedom, plus a shitload of new and interesting features. In Dark Souls 2 you can take absolutely every single weapon type and it all will be useful. Not because you are try-harding, but because it simply works. Dark Souls 3 has the best bosses quality among all Soulsborne games. Sekiro has most cool looking and dynamic combat system. Elden Ring has a huge variety of everything, starting with weapons, armor, consumables, locations, bosses and other stuff. But what about Bloodborne? What this game does better than other Souls games? No matter how many times I ask this myself, every single time it's German's boss fight, aka final boss. That's it. Fuck it. I even made a post in which I asked Bloodborne fans what exactly they like most about Bloodborne. And 99% of the time the answer was, no joke, Gothic style.
Omega lul.
And honestly, it's just a sad truth. The best thing about Bloodborne is its Gothic thematic, which is very rarely used used in games. That's it. Once again, Bloodborne is not a bad game, not by any mean, but the question still remains, why is this game so beloved, despite the fact it loses in almost everything towards most Soulsborne games? If you have anything to say, feel free to type, but please avoid comments such as "Man, I love Elden Man, I love Bloodborne so much," and "I love gothic gears with big ballistics, therefore a game with gothic theme by default is amazing for me." Well, that's pretty much it. If you like my video, press something under it. With this, I will say bye bye to you, and I will see you next time.